Joining us in studio right now, one of our favorite guests from the Free Market Institute of Texas Tech University, Dr. Ben Powell.
Hey,
welcome
Chad.
back.
Thanks, buddy. Good to be here again.
Well, glad that you can make it, and you've got a big-time guest coming into Lubbock tomorrow.
Yeah, we've got a big-time guest tomorrow. So Judge Andrew Napolitano, who you might know from Fox News as a senior judicial analyst there, but also, I mean, you've got a great pro-freedom radio show you do here. There's lots of pro-freedom radio shows around the country, but the judge probably had his own, when he had his own TV show, the only truly free market daily news show that's probably ever been on TV, Freedom Watch.
Right.
It was just a great dynamic host of that. And he's going to be here in Lubbock tomorrow talking for us at the Free Market Institute on the topic of, do we still have a constitution here in the United States?
I'm sure this is going to be a great speech because he is one of those where whenever Fox brings him on to talk about the Constitution, to talk about whether it's different cases or what the administration is doing or whatever it is, he doesn't hold back. And I mean, he's passionate about this.
He's passionate about it. And there's a difference between him and other TV guys who are into liberty a little bit. Is the judge is actually a scholar too.
Yeah.
Who in his own right can stand toe to toe with the intellectuals who read the original text and debate the meanings of these things. So you got a guy who's got this deep learning and passion about it, but also, unlike us bumbling academics like me, he's like a media star and can communicate this stuff and get people excited. So I'm expecting a great talk from him. And it'll be in the Allen Theater in the Student Union Building. It's open to the whole Lubbock community to come on in for free. Doors open at 5 p.m. Talk will start promptly at 5:30. And he'll talk for about 45 minutes or so, and then he'll open it up for Q&A with anybody from Lubbock who wants to step up to the mic and ask him a question.
That's going to be good, and hopefully I'm sure there will be some good questions out there. And there's so much to ask about. I mean, with everything that's going on right now, you have the action, even, with ISIS and what's happening there. That's one of those questions where you can get up and say, okay, should the president be going to Congress? Should the president be doing this? What does the Constitution actually say? Because, and I think you'd probably agree with this, we see the Constitution, we know it's there, but lawmakers, whether it's on the left and the right, when it comes to war, when it comes to other issues, they seem to go, yeah, there's a Constitution, but...
Yeah, when it comes to virtually anything, they seem to say, yeah, there's a constitution, but. And I think it's a fundamental transformation that the American people have gone through. We went from the idea of liberty to the idea of democracy. If you ask most people what the government should do now, they won't say only the enumerated powers in the Constitution. They'll say, oh, what the people want it to do.
Right.
That's a fundamental change. And with that, the politicians tend to disregard that Constitution.
Yeah, whatever the polls say.
Yeah.
Just go by the polling data. Whatever the polling data says, we'll go with that.
Bomb them. Did my numbers go up?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it again.
Let's see there. It's going to be tomorrow night over at the Allen Theater over on Texas Tech. Plenty of parking will be available out there.
In the south parking lot, the band parking lot just south of the Allen Theater, you can park right there. Come on in. Get there a little early. Last year when we had Williams in for a big event like this, it got to be a little bit of a cluster of people rushing in at the last moment.
Yeah, get there early. What time does it start again?
Doors open at 5 o'clock.
Okay, doors open at 5 o'clock. There will be a Q&A afterwards, which is going to be, I think, pretty neat.
Yeah, see if we can pack in all the ways the government violates the Constitution in 15 minutes of Q&A.
I don't think that'll work. I don't know. All the ways, you might get about, 15 minutes? You might get 15 different ways that they violate.
Do a rapid fire round.
Exactly. You've written a piece recently, and it's something that the news media was paying attention to for a little bit, and then, oh my gosh, Ebola, and so we're going to forget about all the international stuff. But Hong Kong, you've been focusing a little bit on what's happening over there.
Yeah, Hong Kong is just an amazing story. So what's been happening recently is all these protests that have been going on there where the people are demanding the right to choose their own leader, what they call the CEO, actually, of Hong Kong, who runs it. But Hong Kong's a great free market story. I mean, this is a place that was pre-industrial in the 1950s and in a generation jumped to first world living standards. And they did it by embracing economic freedom. So under British rule until 1997, they had the freest economy in the world as we can measure these things. In fact, they still do since rule is passed to China. And what it did was just dramatic in terms of the transformation. I was just there in early September, actually, when the protest started. And
really?
It's awe-inspiring to stand at the top of one of the tall buildings and just look at the spread of development of people lifted out of poverty that this system has done. Mm-hmm. So now the tension is where it's going to go in the future. So the people we have to distinguish kind of three types of freedom, Chad. There's economic freedoms, there are civil freedoms, freedoms of the press, freedoms of expression, things like that. And then there's democratic freedoms. But two of those are about the outcomes of, are you free to do things? And one's about the process. Are you free to choose the people who are going to dictate your other freedoms? And Hong Kong is always, with no democratic freedom, whether the leaders were picked in London or in Beijing, they've been the most free economically, and they're really good on most civil freedoms too. So the question is, where is this going in the future? It's hard to believe greater democracy there will get them better economic or civil freedom. But the real question is, what's Beijing going to give them in the future? Mm-hmm. Is Hong Kong going to have to look more like China, or is China going to look more like Hong Kong? And whether the democratic freedoms can be a barrier to imposing greater statism on Hong Kong.
Interesting. You know, you bring up economic freedom, and just recently, I think it was a couple of days ago, news came out, United States slipped to number 12. Not too surprising.
Number 12 is actually an improvement, unfortunately. We slipped to 17 at one point.
Yeah.
But yeah, that index came out with the guy at Southern Methodist who's the co-author of it. He's a frequent guest over at the Free Market Institute with us. We do a lot of work working with that index.
Hong Kong's number one.
Hong Kong's still, listen, every year since 1970 when they started rating it, Hong Kong's been number one. Most years Singapore's been number two. Occasionally the U.S. was number two. The U.S. was always 2 or 3. We were always the freest large economy in the world. And unfortunately, since the early 2000s, we've been slipping in those rankings. We fell as high as 17th. We're 12th now. Canada is freer than us, our socialist neighbor to the north. Countries on every continent around the globe, Mauritius and Africa, Chile and South America, certainly Hong Kong and other Asian countries. Australia's freer. We're not the beacon of economic freedom that we used to be here in the United States. And unfortunately, a lot of it's been the erosion of our property rights here.
Right. Dr. Ben Powell in studio, Texas Tech Free Market Institute. One more time, tell folks what they need to know for tomorrow night's guest. I don't want to call it a lecture because it's more of a speech, and this is going to be fun.
Speech and a Q&A. It'll be fun. It's Judge Andrew Napolitano. Do we still have a Constitution? Allen Theater, doors open at 5. Program starts promptly by 5:30. There'll be about 45 minutes of a speech and then Q&A with him. And open to the general public. Love to have you there. If you want to see more about it, you can check our website, www.fmi.ttu.edu, or find us on Facebook. Just look for Free Market Institute on Facebook. There's an event page there. You can like us, click, tell us you're going, all sorts of fun stuff.
All right, great. And it's free to the public. So go out there and hear a great speech tomorrow night. Judge Andrew Napolitano. It's going to be fun. Dr. Ben Powell, thank you very much.
Thanks as always, Chad.
We'll take the break. We'll be right back here on the Chad Hasty Show.